asked by a few people to tell you the recipe for how to make an old-fashioned Christmas cake. And this is a very rich fruit cake, and this is a square one that I've made this year. It's 7 inches square, and I either do that or I do a round cake, a 7-inch, and because the mixture is enough for that. And as I say, it's very dark, very rich cake. And this came, I'll just put you across, this came from a very old book. Let's just move this and I can bring the book down so you can see it, that my gran gave me when I got married. And this book is called Good Housekeeping, Look and Cook. And it does show you pictures, and it was published in 1964. And that's the picture of the finished cake, because what you do is you marzipan it and you ice it. You don't have to do anything as gorgeous as that. I can't definitely do that, but I just do like a snow scene, and I usually put my Father Christmas or something on there, which I've got here. I've got a Father Christmas. We've got Father Christmas's sledge with presents in and a reindeer, and that usually goes on the top. And I have got a sign that says Merry Christmas in gold. So I usually put those on the top. And how do you make this cake? Well, you need obviously a big mixing bowl, and you need a wooden spoon, and you need your scales. Now I'm going to tell you everything in ounces, because that's what this old book goes to. And as you can see, the weights that I've got have got ounces and grams, which is very easy. So if you've got one of those, that will be ideal. And I'll tell you the amounts you need to make for this cake. And this is for a 7-inch size. And as I said, I used a square tin this year. And let me get the tin, see if I can find it. And that's the tin I used this year, and it has got a bottom that comes out to make removing the cake a lot easier. Sometimes I use the circular version that's got a loose bottom in it as well, and that needs to be really well greased. I use some of the butter that you use for the cake, so let me just put that back and I'll tell you how to make this cake. What will you need? Well, your ingredients are flour, and that's plain flour, salt, mixed spice, sultanas, currants, raisins. It says mixed pill, and I always do that myself. Glacé cherries, almonds, a lemon and an orange, 8 ounces of butter, 8 ounces of castor sugar, and between 6 to 8 eggs, depending on the size of them. And you need, what do you need? 12 ounces of flour. So 12 ounces of plain flour, 8 ounces of butter, sugar, and between 6 to 8 eggs. And then you need a tablespoon of coffee essence. I usually use dry coffee granules. A tablespoon of browning, which is gravy browning, and I always use the old-fashioned, let me show you, Bisto gravy, which is in a powder form, so just gravy powder. But if you've got granules, you can still use that. And also some brandy. And what you do, you weigh out your 8 ounces of butter and your 8 ounces of castor sugar. And you put those into your mixing bowl and you mix them together and you cream them up. I always do mine with a wooden spoon. I never use a mixer because you don't want too much air in this, really, because it's plain flour and you don't really need it. So you cream it up, give it a really good go so that it's all combined, the butter and the castor sugar, and it goes almost to a white colour. The castor sugar makes the butter white. And then you go to your scales and you put your 12 ounces of flour, how much salt is it? Let me have a look. It's half a teaspoon of salt, your tablespoon of coffee essence, your tablespoon of gravy browning, and mixed spice. How much does it say mixed spice? I usually put as much as I want because I quite like mixed spice. It says 2 tablespoons and that's quite a lot. So mixed spice, and you put all your dry ingredients into there. So you've got it all together. And then you get your eggs, and all depending on size, I usually use medium eggs, so I usually use about 6. You break an egg into your mixture, your castor sugar and your butter. Just mix it up a bit and it goes a bit sludgy. So you put a bit of your dry ingredients, just tip a bit in and mix it in until it's not so sludgy again. It mixes it up nicely. Then you do another egg, some more of your dry ingredients. And you carry on doing that until you've used at least 6 eggs. And then if you've used all your dry ingredients, you know that 6 is going to be enough. If you haven't used all your dry ingredients, use another egg. But at this stage, it should be coming into a nice mixture. It shouldn't be sludgy looking or anything. It should just look like a cake mixture, like you do for a Victoria sponge or something like that. And then you weigh out your currants, sultanas, cherries. And they say 12 ounces of each. And you add them to your mixture. And this is when it starts getting a bit of a heavier mixture. So you put all your fruit in, you put your glacé cherries in, and because my husband doesn't like big bits of nuts, I always get grated almond, a big bag of grated almond, and I put that in because it's nice. So you've got your currants, your almonds, and you've got your cherries, and they've all gone in there, and your sultanas. So you've got all your dried fruits, your cherries, and your nuts into it. You can put other nuts in if you want to. If you don't like almonds and you prefer walnuts, or what else is there, Brazil nuts, whatever you like, you can put into the cake. Okay, so you've now got a big mixture with all these different fruits in it. Then you get your orange and your lemon, and you get a grater, and you get some of the zest. Get some of the zest off of the lemon and the orange. I use half the lemon and half the orange, and put that into your mixture. And then the juice from a lemon and an orange, and get that into your mixture and mix it all in. And it should be quite thick and heavy now, and quite brown looking. So you've got all your ingredients in it now, except for a bit of brandy. And I just put a capful of French brandy in. If you don't like brandy, you can use sherry, if you like sherry. If you don't like drink at all, don't put any in. So then you've got it all mixed up in there. And you've got your tin that you're going to use. And you put it all in, you grease your tin really well with some butter. Make sure the sides and the corners and the bottom are covered. You know, not loads of it, but so that the cake's not going to stick. That is a non-stick one that I use, but just to be careful, I always grease it as well. Then you get all your mixture, and it's really heavy by now, into your tin. Make sure you put it right into the corners, packed well in all of your mixture, and then with your trusty wooden spoon you do a little indent on the top. It gives it a chance to rise, and then it will end up perfectly flat. So always remember to do an indent in the middle of your mixture, okay? And then you have to bake it. You warm your oven up while you're mixing it up, so it's going into a warm oven. And you start at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure what that is in centigrade, you might have to look that up. So it's 325 Fahrenheit. I think it worked out of 162 or something like that on my oven, I can't remember. But you put it on there for an hour. And then you have to remember to go and turn the oven down after an hour. And you turn it down to 275 Fahrenheit for another hour. Okay, so that's 325 for an hour Fahrenheit. You'd have to work that out into centigrade. And then once you've turned it down, you turn it down to 275 for an hour. And then after that second hour is finished, you turn it down again for another hour. At what? Bake for a further hour on 250 Fahrenheit. So it's gone in at 325, you turn it down to 275 and then 250, and you leave it for another hour. So it's in there for 3 hours. By then it's come up like this one has into this lovely cake. And you just use, I'll just get it to show you. I've got one of these cake testers. It's just a little thin cake tester, but you can use a skewer or something like that. And you try it into the middle of your cake, just to make sure that it's baked all the way through. And you can look all over, make sure everything is nice, and if it is finished off, and as you see this is perfectly flat, it's come up from the indent I put in it, and it's perfectly flat, and you leave it for about half an hour to cool down, and then you just get a knife, and what I do is I just prise it at each side with the knife gently, just to make sure it's loose, and then get it out of your tin. And you usually get it out, and of course by then it will be upside down. So there's the bottom of the cake. As you can see, the fruit's all spread out lovely. It's got cherries and everything in it. And then you leave it to cool, and it takes quite a long time to cool down, as you can imagine. So as soon as it's cooled down, you turn it over. There we go, it's quite heavy, as you can imagine, with all that fruit and everything in. And you put it into a container. I've got this lovely one that keeps it, and it's got like an airflow thing on the top that lets the air go round it, and that's, you know, keeps it nice for, you know, storing it so it can mature. And then a week before Christmas, you get it out of the container, and the smell is absolutely gorgeous then, absolutely gorgeous. And if you like brandy, you turn it upside down again and get your little prick thing, little tester, and prick all the bottom of the cake and just dribble some French brandy into the bottom of it. And then leave it to soak in, leave it upside down like that until Christmas, a couple days before Christmas. And then you marzipan the top of it. You put some, what I usually use is orange marmalade. I've got some here, I'll show you. Got some orange marmalade with honey, and you use a bit of that and just put a bit of the orange marmalade and honey on, so that when you put the marzipan on the top, the marzipan sticks to it. I only do the top because my men don't like loads of marzipan and loads of icing. So I just do the top of the cake, but you can do the sides of the cake if you want to. Then use some icing sugar, and you do the icing for the top, and then you put whatever you want to on the top, like I put my Father Christmas on the top and everything. But I'll show you when it's done. I will do another little video and I'll show you when I've actually finished the cake. So I hope I've explained that okay, and that you can see how to make this gorgeous Christmas cake. As I said, it takes 3 hours to do. If you find that when you do the prick thing test in the middle that it's still a bit doughy in the middle, then just leave it for a little bit longer, about 20 minutes or so, and check it again, and it's usually done. But it's a lovely fruit cake. And my son usually ends up taking half of it home with him, my elder son, because his wife doesn't like Christmas cake, so she won't buy it. So he usually takes half of this home. But there, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you can have a go at making a Christmas cake yourself. And I'd be really interested to see if anybody does do it, and let me know. So yeah. I hope that was okay, and I hope you can do the conversions from ounces to grams, and from Fahrenheit, was it? I get mixed up with all these things. Yeah, Fahrenheit to centigrade. So let me know how you do, and I hope that was okay for you. Mwah. Love you, ladies and gentlemen.